Hello, and welcome to the Learning Heroes presentation of Summer Recharge, powering partnerships between families and educators. We are so delighted to be here today at the National PTA Virtual Convention with you all, being joined from PTAs across the country. We hope you find today's presentation very useful for you with the parents and families and caregivers and guardians that you're working with in your day-to-day work on the ground, and we hope you find the resources in today's presentation very fruitful for the work that you're doing to help parents, children, teachers, and educators all connect to have a wonderful summer of summer learning and hopefully a summer of summer recharging. And with that, let's get started with today's presentation. And I do just want to make a note, if you have questions, please place them in the chat box and we'll be sure to get to them at the end of the presentation. And when you're typing in your questions, please be sure to also include the state that you're representing. All right, so kicking off today's presentation, we'd like to start with a reflection question, just to kind of get things going. And so in the chat box, can you please put your name, your state you're from, and one word that captures what family engagement has meant to you this year. Of course, we know this year has been a year unlike any other, but I'll give you a moment again to put just what family engagement has meant to you this year for your family in one word. As you're typing into the chat box, I would now like to talk about who will be joining me on today's presentation. First, we have Bib Hubbard, who is the founder and president of Learning Heroes. Next, we have Wendy Lopez Aplito, the vice president of content and partnerships at Learning Heroes. And next, you have myself, Kelsey Nelson, the senior manager of external relations at Learning Heroes. And last, but certainly not least, we're glad to be joined by Derry Rodriguez, who is with the Family and Community Empowerment Team. Yes, that's what FACE stands for. And she'll be joining us to talk about being a project manager and liaison with the NYC Department of Education. Now that we know all of today's panelists, I will now transition it over back to Bib Hubbard, who will take us through some of the great research that Learning Heroes has been leading. Bib.
Thank you so much, Kelsey, and thank you to all of you for being with us here today. Just a quick little bit of context about Learning Heroes. Our mission is pretty simple. We work to help support parents as their children's most effective education advocate, and our vision is that every parent can be their child's learning hero, and that will lead to equitable school improvement. And how do we do our work? Well, we start by listening to parents, and we take that very seriously. So for the past 6 years, we've done deep research, all kinds of research among parents, guardians, principals, teachers, students, guidance counselors, anyone who sort of touches upon the child in their educational experience. So as you can see here, we've blanketed the country with our research, going deep at the state and district level, school level, as well as doing national research. And we focus on parents of color, in particular, Black and Hispanic families. And with all of that great learning, we, as I said, we work to sort of help support parents as their child's most effective education advocate. And what that means is starting by helping parents have a complete, holistic, and accurate picture of their child's achievement and development. Through our research, one of our seminal findings, you'll see in a moment, is that 9 out of 10 parents believe their child's at or above grade level in both reading and math. And so what we do is we work to help parents have this complete holistic view. And we work through states, districts, PTAs, local, national, other media organizations, Univision in particular, PBS, and all of that to help build the parents' expertise and advocacy for their children. So you can see here, this past year in 2021, we just did a national survey in partnership with the PTA, and we found out that 87% of parents believe their child's at or above grade level. And you heard me say a moment ago, typically it's been 90%, and last year was actually 92%. So 87%, while still a giant number, when you can see here only about 35% of our students are performing grade level work, we still have seen, given COVID, as a beginning of a parent mindset shift in how their children are achieving. And you can see here, based on this NAEP data down below, that while it's 35% of students nationally who can perform grade level work, it's 23% for our Hispanic students and 18% for our African American students. And this is based on a fourth grade National Assessment of Educational Progress data. So a huge gap and gulf that we believe we need to close. So for us, this is our North Star, helping support parents, again, have this complete holistic view of their children's both progress and development so they can take the actions, their best actions for their children. So with that, we'll dive into some of our data. As you can see here, we just launched an impressive piece of research, qualitative and quantitative, around out-of-school time and parents' perceptions around out-of-school time activities. So with that, we can go to the next slide. So the purpose of this massive piece of research, and I'll get into the methodology in just a moment, is to understand the value that parents, teachers, and OST providers place on the role that out-of-school time programs, youth development programs, extracurricular programs play in developing social, emotional, and academic skills within our children. So specifically, we wanted to understand what those expectations were like for parents, teachers, and providers. What does success look like? So how do you define success? What does a quality program mean to a parent and a child? And then unpacking COVID. What are the impacts of this past year, this unprecedented year that Kelsey just referenced, in terms of parents' perceptions and the ways in which they're engaging in out-of-school time activities with their children. So with that, here's the methodology. And as I said, it was a very significant piece of research. So we started off with qualitative research last fall. So we did, as you can see here, 3 parent focus groups. And these are parents of children in grades K to 8. So that's important. We did mixed race. We did a focus group just with Black parents and a Spanish language focus group, as well as 3 parent-child dyads. And that's where we talk to a parent and their child together. And then we talk to them separately as well. It's fascinating to sort of understand that really personal perspective from a parent and a child about their experience with out-of-school time activities. And then we also had the opportunity to do 2 K to 8 teacher focus groups. So, and these were national, and we recruited national. They're all virtual, of course, this year. And then we also were able to talk to 6 OST providers. So these are Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, 4-H's, after school care settings, a variety of different kinds of after school and out of school time opportunities. So we were able to do some in-depth interviews with providers. And all of that rich data informed 3 quantitative surveys. So you can see here between February 9th and March 9th of this year, we did 3 national surveys, one with parents, K-8 parents again, where we oversampled with African-American parents, Black parents, and Hispanic parents. And we offered the survey in Spanish for those families who wanted to take it in Spanish. Again, nationally representative survey, but oversampled so that we could understand how Black parents, Hispanic parents, white parents answered, if there were any differences. And you'll see some of those emerge in the data. And then we also surveyed K-8 teachers and out-of-school time providers. And again, these were national samples. And you'll see, as you look at the data, you can see this key below. If you see blue, that's parent data. Yellow is teacher data, and green is the provider data. And if you see blue numbers, that means that number is statistically higher than the others. If you see red numbers, it means it's statistically lower than the others. So with that, we can dive into the data. So just to sort of give you the overview of what we took away from these insights and implications, and the full set of data is on our website, bealearninghero.org. So I encourage you to dive in deeper if you're interested. This is just a quick snapshot, but 3 broad implications. One, that in terms of communications and thinking about, the value proposition of out-of-school time setting, parents really saw it as a child-centered experience, and there was a different role for out-of-school time opportunities and activities for their children. It's filling an important need. There are policy implications. We did see that there were the high quality out of school time opportunities were not equitably distributed. So something for our policymakers, our district leaders to think about, especially as we head into summer. How do we make these opportunities available to all families and not have cost and access get in the way? And then programmatically, the summer offers a great opportunity for parents, teachers, and providers to partner up to support children's social, emotional, and academic development, emphasizing the social and the emotional this summer. I think we all need a little bit of a recharge, as you're going to hear soon. So with that, we can dive in. And just, we don't need to spend a ton of time here. We all spent this past year, but the backdrop is being felt by parents and teachers. Everybody is exhausted. It was really hard. Parents felt the whiplash. And importantly, parents saw their children, many children regress emotionally, socially, academically. And that was of great concern to parents to see lack of motivation in their children this year. And similarly for teachers, lots of exhaustion, frustration. They feel proud of the work that they did, but they know that it was just a difficult year for everybody, and also looking to summer to get a bit of a recharge, and very worried about the learning loss, the potential for learning loss and chronic absenteeism from many children. So not a huge surprise, but that's the context for how parents and teachers are and providers are feeling right now. So next slide. But to sort of level set on the amount of families who are engaged in these after-school, extracurricular, youth development kinds of programs, we saw 65% of parents have children in an OST program. That's an amazing number. Parents really sought out this extra type of activity and work for their children, especially in the COVID time, where online school was pretty limiting. And you can see here on the right the kinds of programs that the parents were signing up with. But the key takeaway here is that, 65%, a huge majority of parents are taking advantage of these programs and really showing the value that they place in them for their children. Next slide. So you can go back one quick slide. There we go. Really quick, because this is a lot to digest. This just shows that parents do look at these three different settings for having different roles for their children's development of their skills, academic, social, and emotional, and that they see the value in all of these settings coming together for their children holistically. So you can go to the next slide. And when we ask parents about what they're worried about, again, not surprising based on that COVID backdrop, missing out on social connections is as you can see, a huge concern. Having too much screen time, and then falling behind academically is in the top three, but there is a 14% difference from missing out on social connections to falling behind academically. So while it's important, it's not as important as that mental health, the social, the emotional, that recharging, that connection that parents want to see their children have this summer. Next slide. And with that, as you can see, we wanted to do this word cloud from some of our qualitative work as well, and some of the quantitative. This summer really is about fun, being outside, reconnecting, being with friends, those kinds of things. So, as we're all feeling, we really are ready for the summer to break out and to reconnect, recharge, but also integrate learning throughout our experiences. And then in my last slide, when we ask parents what's most important for this summer, again, that social emotional comes right back to the top. Physical activity, being outside, letting their children follow their passion, have a sense of purpose, to play, have fun. And again, academic support is still in that top 5, but it falls to further down below. So finding ways to integrate, address the academic piece, but to really prioritize the social, the emotional. That reconnection is going to be critical for parents, teachers, and providers. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Wendy Lopez-Aflito, my colleague, to talk about our Summer Recharge campaign.
Yeah, thanks, Viv, and thanks to everyone for joining today. Building on what Viv was mentioning, we all as parents don't need the research to tell us just that we all need a break. This is truly a year, and after this past year, a summer where we have to recharge, reconnect with what matters. And so that is really, we took a step back and really rewrote our summer campaign to celebrate parents, celebrate students, celebrate teachers, and bring us all together in a moment to reflect on what matters. So with that, if we could advance the slide, wanted to start with a reflection. Again, it's for us, it's all about the rewords. So if you could share in the chat box, what reword captures how you're feeling about the summer, reflecting on your own experience as a parent, your family, thinking about the families that you serve. Is it, renew, refresh, revive? If you could share in the chat box again, in the spirit of building community and continuing to celebrate what we have overcome as a community. Next slide. Before I share some of the resources, wanted to invite all of you. PTA has been such a great partner of Learning Heroes over the years. There are a couple of ways we would love to continue to stay engaged with you over the summer. So I'm going to share the resources today. You can share them out really easily using our social media toolkit, which you can download from bealearninghero.org. You can easily share these resources with your parents. There's lots of click to tweets and easily shareable information. The second is Learning Heroes creates resources with the intention of really sharing them with the community, sharing them with great partners like PTA. And so we will be sharing information on providing a link on how you can co-brand the resources I'm about to share with you. They can be tailored to meet your audience and your community. All of our resources are in English and in Spanish, and it's multimedia. So there's interactive webpage and print resources as well. And then finally, we have lots of exciting content and videos coming up for the rest of the summer. We have a new series called Summer Togetherness, which will really share short bits of information, practical, concrete, actionable insights, resources, and tips for parents throughout the summer. And we also have our Summer Recharge video series, which will go a little bit more in depth than we have the time to today. Next slide. So our Summer Recharge campaign really focuses on three main messages for parents. The first one is at the beginning of the summer, really take a moment to think about those key skills that you can review with your child over the summer. And instead of being overwhelmed by feeling like we have to, catch up on learning loss, or feel like we need to, skill and drill our students, our children over the summer, by just focusing on what are those three skills in math or reading, perhaps, that we can review to prepare our children for the next year. Sometimes this is really a year to less is more. And so with that, we have a great tool, if you could advance the slide, that we worked with leading experts in math and reading. It's called the Readiness Check. It is mobile friendly, so you can use it on your phone or on a laptop or computer. And it's like a game for students. So the child answers 3 to 5 short questions in math and reading, and then parents get to see how their child has progressed with those end of year skills that experts have identified as critical for the upcoming year. The best part, thinking about summer learning, is that then at the end of the tool, parents get connected to highly curated, skill-specific resources, videos, offline and online ideas to support those skills. The tool was, as I mentioned, mobile friendly, and also really designed to support ELL learners, and as always in English and Spanish. So to just take a quick peek at how it works, we're going to look at a video that our friends at WNET, the PBS affiliate in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut area, created for us, and it highlights New York parents using the Readiness Check.
Want to know if your child is ready for school? Find out with Learning Heroes Readiness Check, a free online tool for students in grades K through 8. Your child will answer 3 to 5 questions about math and reading. It only takes a few minutes, and it isn't a test. It's more like a game. You might be surprised by what your child does and doesn't know.
Aiden, hiciste muy bien.
You did really well.
At the end, you'll get fun, free activities and resources to help your child succeed in school. You can share what you've learned with your child's teacher.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So you can work together to make sure your child stays on track.
Keep reading the books you enjoy. And I think it's good to talk about what's happening in the story.
Find it at bealearninghero.org. We're in this together. Thank you.
So again, that's a tool that can be used at the beginning of the summer, and then again at the end, beginning of the summer, and then again at the end of the summer, so that you can share with the child's new teacher, how they did on those end of year skills, and really helps jumpstart the year and helps the teacher know where the child might need more support. The second message as part of our campaign is, this, as Bib mentioned, this is a summer to reconnect with what matters. We know that social interaction is so critical. We are eager to be with loved ones, friends, and family again. And the good news is that children learn best when they feel connected to who they are learning with and what they are learning. So this is the year to lean into what all of the brain science has long told us. And so on our web page all around this, bealearninghero.org, you will find online camp resources, offline and online activities, social emotional resources, videos that really bring that to life. And so we invite parents and you all to continue to check out the site, which we will be refreshing throughout the summer. Next slide. And then finally, the third message is really about reflecting on progress. We know that parents are the experts of their children, and especially this year, they have observed so much about what motivates their child, where they are doing well, where they need more support. And so we have tools, which I'll show in a moment, that really support parents in jotting down notes while it's fresh, that we can share with the child's new teacher in the fall, and continuing to observe over the summer, again, around their academic process, but also the social and emotional pieces, so that, again, at the beginning of the year, we can help jumpstart that partnership with teachers. And so to give a quick glimpse, we have an updated summer parent-teacher planning tool that guides you with, again, things, the key skills to work on or support, reinforce, leaning into your child's interests, and again, that social emotional piece, reconnecting with what matters, and then finally, a place to jot down notes and reflect on progress that you can share with your child's new teacher in the fall. Next slide. And there's also, for teachers out there, we have a teacher version that is a parent-teacher planning tool really meant to support existing moments like parent-teacher conferences, the end of year for schools that might be having end of year conferences. Really the notion of, as Bib mentioned, helping parents have a more accurate picture, more holistic picture, bringing in their insights and observations around social and emotional and academic progress and development to ultimately co-create a plan that is, really focused on their child and accelerating their learning. So we are excited to share all of these resources with you, and the magic really happens when they are used by great community partners, like the partners we've had in PTA and others. And so I am thrilled to introduce my colleague, Kelsey Nelson, who is going to chat with a dear colleague of mine, Dari Rodriguez, who I've had the pleasure of working with over the past year to customize and implement some of these resources through New York City's Department of Education, through their FACE department. So I thank Dari for her leadership, and excited for you to hear how she's used some of our resources.
Thanks so much, Wendy. And again, thanks so much for a great overview, for a great overview of Summer Recharge. If you're like me, you're super excited because you're finding out so many resources that you're able to use this summer for your child and you to get through summer learning, right? And make sure that they're prepared for the next grade level. And as we know, again, it's about summer recharging, refueling our passions and our purpose as we help to connect with our children. And as Wendy mentioned, parents are at the center of the partnership. We could not do it without parents. And again, everything that we do comes from listening to you all, parents, teachers, and children to create the resources in which we have. So I now would like to bring on Gary Rodriguez to talk about the importance of parent leaders, which we need and who we are looking to partner with at Learning Heroes, to talk about how the resources have been used with the NYC Department of Education, FACE group, as well as other parent groups. So Gary, how are you? Thanks so much for joining.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to just share the partnership that we have with Learning Heroes. And it has been such a rewarding year working with Wendy and also just using these wonderful customized tools for New York City parent coordinators and parents.
I love that, Gary. I will tell you, I'm new to Learning Heroes, and you were one of the first names I heard for parent leaders. And I think it just talks about how strong your partnership has been. And it's great to see it being used so well in New York City. And so to kick things off, Gary, I'd like to ask you, what has your experience been in supporting parent coordinators and leaders, especially this year? What role do they uniquely play?
Our parent coordinators are the frontline staff. They work directly with parents in their schools. So they played a major role this year, especially during the pandemic, where we wanted to make sure that the parents understand what's happening in New York City, and also to streamline information, because we know that with our parents, we truly believe in parent partnership, and the parent coordinators are the ones who are the liaisons between the school at the home. So this year, our parent coordinators were our messengers, they were our frontline worker, and they were making sure that our parents were receiving timely information. So we're super excited because through them, we were able to empower our parents and really get the message out that we're here and we want to stay connected.
I love that. We're here and we want to stay connected. And what I'm hearing is our parent coordinators and leaders, they really were the superheroes, helping us to get the messages out. And transitioning to my next question, what's worked well for you in helping to equip and inspire, right, parent coordinators? Can you share some of the strategies with our listening audience today?
Absolutely. So our parent coordinators, not only are their staff, they're parents as well. So they were experiencing exactly what our parent leaders, our parents, and our caregivers were experiencing at the same time. So with that, it was really important for us to ensure that any messaging or any opportunities that we're promoting online, that our parents had, that language access was the front line of our work, because we wanted to ensure that language was not a barrier. So with that, we translated all of our material, our family-facing material in 7 languages. And then we offered our information in a virtual setting. So the strategies we used this year was really meeting the parents where they're at and understanding what is the best way for us to connect to our parents. And one of the things that we realized is that, of course, this pandemic really pushed us to think outside of the box and really to use technology as a way of I call it transitioning our in-person to a virtual community. So what we did was we wanted to first equip our parent coordinators, and we did 2 wonderful programming. One was called Watch Party Wednesday, where we had every Wednesdays, we promoted sort of a talk show where we invited different community partners and also our central staff to have that one-on-one and to connect with our parent coordinators, so that once they get information and resources from the community, from our central staff, from our parent leaders themselves, that they can turnkey that information in their schools. And then on Fridays, we had Digital Friday, where every Friday we connected with, of course, our wonderful partner, Learning Heroes, and Google, Zoom, our technology partners, to offer a digital tool so that we can level up our skills, so that we can share this information with our families, so that our families feel empowered to use technology to connect.
Thank you so much for that great overview, Darian. And let me tell you, you just got me excited. You talked about meeting parents where they're at, which has been a core value of Learning Heroes. And you talked about the Fridays. I hope I did it right, Dary, as well as as well as the watch party Wednesdays that you've been doing. So let's dig into that a little bit deeper. So we've seen you in action on those watch party Wednesdays, and they are informative, and yes, they're fun. And that's a great way to segue into our partnerships that we're doing. So Dary, can you share how you've been able to leverage the Learning Heroes partnership this past year, and then how you're planning to use Summer Recharge with your upcoming materials that you all will be doing this summer?
Oh my God, first I have to say, I love you guys. I mean, we could not do this work this year without partnerships. So partnerships like Learning Heroes, it was a gem. You guys are a gem. The fact that I can use the information and really bring it into one of our watch parties was fantastic. So pretty much our watch parties are I want to say upbeat, energizing, and the way we used it is actually using the information you have online and customizing it to New York City content. So pretty much we used the Readiness Check in the beginning of the school year, where when parents came back during parent-teacher conference, we actually trained and provided informational sessions with our parent leaders, our parents, and our parent coordinators on how to use the Readiness Check. So we know partnership not only is important and vital, but it's also important for teachers and parents to understand how to communicate to support the child at home. So using the Readiness Check was a game changer for us. We enjoyed using it and showing our parents how to utilize the Readiness Check to have those communications with teachers. And we're super excited to use some of the videos that are promoted on the Learning Hero website. And also we are getting ready for Summer Recharge. So we have a campaign that we're working on now. It's called Summer Rising. And the Summer Rising is pretty much we're promoting all of our free resources and our academics, but we're also using the campaign through Learning Heroes to recharge our parent coordinators, our family-facing staff, our parent leaders, to really take time to understand how can we promote learning over the summer, but not only in a way that is meaningful, but we want it to be fun. We wanted to support the social and emotional wellness of not only our students, but our parents as well. So we're getting ready for Summer Recharge. And one of the things we're doing is creating a trainer where we're using the workshop in the box through Learning Heroes and through the Summer Recharge so that we can impact our parent coordinators now. So we're training our parent coordinators now. We're recharging them on the parent in the workshop in the box so that we can promote a culturally responsive community, create more equitable information and access for our families. And we want to elevate our parent voices through our Summer Recharge information, resources, and our workshop in the box for our parent leaders and our parent coordinators. And I want to shout out also our district family-facing liaison, our family leadership coordinator and our family support coordinator, who are also joining us and to empower our families and elevate our parent leaders' voices.
Thank you so much, Dary. And if you're like me, I don't know how you haven't been recharged from Dary's energy that she's been bringing. And Dary, you guys have a lot going on with the New York Department FACE organization and just all the great work that you're doing, talking about doing resources in 7 languages. That's not an easy task to do, but you're making sure that you meet the needs of the parents. And I'd like to bring everyone's attention to the screen so you can see what it looks like when you're co-branding our resources. You're able not only to add your logo, but we're also able to tailor the language that we have to your specific audience. Again, this is not a one-size-box-fits-all. We're making sure that it fits every unique community and individual organization. So Dary Rodriguez, thank you again so much for joining me here for this presentation and just talking about the impact of parent leaders and parent partnerships. We can now advance to the next slide. Thanks, Dary. All right, so now I want to continue with partnership opportunities. If you've been following Summer Recharge was created in collaboration with the National PTA, your great organization, Univision, the National Summer Learning Association, and Remake Learning Days across America. So I'd like to bring your attention to, you guys see your great PTA logo on here, and talk about co-branding. We're saying all of these great resources, but again, we don't make these resources for ourselves. We're making these resources to share out with you and your organizations and your communities. You guys saw earlier a great video from WNET, who was one of our media partners helping us to get the word out about this work. But PTA, both national and state PTAs, have been one of our strongest partnerships. We want to make sure that you all know all of the materials that create, such as the Summer Recharge, summer campaign that Wendy touched on. You're able to make these fit your community. So not only are you able to add your logo to all of our branded material, both digital and in print, but you're also able to tailor it to your community, right? Because your community, when they see that logo, they know it's from a trusted source and from trusted individuals. And then the language that's there, we're able to tailor it to your unique community. So I'll give an example. Right now, we're working with an organization where they have a large population of Hmong and Somali families. So we're working with them right now to translate our materials into those two different cultures, so that those parents are able to access these materials and make sure that they're still able to connect with their children using the Summer Recharge materials that we have. So please, 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 if you're interested in a state PTA, the Summer Recharge, we just promoted phase 1 and the whole Summer Recharge campaign, and we'd like to make sure that we reach you to get these branded materials out to your audience, because you guys heard all of the great resources that Wendy Lopez Aflito mentioned. We'll now go to the next slide. And as we touched on, this has been our presentation of Summer Recharge, powering partnerships between families and educators. I want to thank you all so much. If you're interested in any of the materials, I'm Kelsey Nelson. I look forward to connecting with you as the Senior Manager of External Relations. My job is to make you happy and to get you all of our great resources. We also invite you to connect with us on social media and our website. Our website is bealearninghero.org. And also we're on Facebook at Be a Learning Hero, and on Twitter at Be a Learning Hero. All of our information is there, and please, again, feel free to reach out to me. And before we let you go, I do want to go to our next slide, because the fun does not end or does not stop here. We do have time for questions. So any questions that you may have from all of the information that was presented today by me, Wendy, Bib, or Derry, please put your questions into the box and we'll be sure to answer them. And once again, when you're putting in a question, please be sure to input the state that you're representing, so we can see all of the great faces that we have here today for our virtual presentation. I'll give you a moment again to just let all the information sink in and give you a chance to ask any questions that you might have of our panelists, and we'll be sure to answer them in the chat box. All right, thank you all so much for submitting your questions. And last but not least, it is our custom and tradition at Learning Heroes to end with a closing reflection. So now I'm going to ask you one more time to use the chat box, and please input one idea, resource, aha moment. I can't even talk today. But what you are taking away from today's session. Again, anything that really just resonated with you or sat with you, or something that you'd like to learn more on, or something that you're taking back to your communities. We invite you to put it into the chat box. That feedback will really support and help us. We really hope you enjoyed Learning Heroes presentation today. Again, Summer Recharge, a new way to look at summer learning, and really co-creating a plan between teachers and parents, guardians, and caregivers to work together to make a child's academic and developmental a success. Thank you all so much for joining us. And again, we hope you use our resources. I'm Kelsey Nelson. Thanks so much for your time. And I hope you all enjoy the next presentation, and hopefully this helped to refuel you for the rest of the National PTA Conference and Expo.